Let's speak to DA leader John Steenhuisen now. Mr. Steenhuisen, you're also saying this is a whitewash. Tell us why.
Well, I think the public protector has fundamentally missed the point and thrust of the complaint that was lodged with her, despite the fact that we've clarified it when she indicated in her interim report that there clearly was a misunderstanding. And yet she's gone ahead and made the same error in understanding the law and the processes around what has happened. We maintain that there clearly was an abuse of power and a conflict of interest. The president should rather have used and gone to the South African Police Service like any ordinary citizen, got a case number, and the SAPS would investigate it. Instead, because he has a Presidential Protection Unit staff assigned to him in his role as Cyril Ramaphosa, the president, he has now used that for Cyril Ramaphosa, the businessman, to pursue money that was stolen from a private enterprise, not from the state, not from his office, not from the Department of the Presidency, but from his private operation. And that's something that's not available to you or I or any of the viewers at home watching. We have to follow a set procedure.
So Mr. Steenhuisen, she does deal with that. So I just want your response, because she said on your complaint that he should have gone and been the one to lay the charge. She says there were other managers in charge of this farm. So essentially he was a passive owner. There were managers controlling the day-to-day. She mentions Mrs. van Villach and Ndlovu were two persons of authority. They could have also reported the housebreaking.
But he is the owner of the money. It was put into his personal home, his private property, and therefore he was the owner and had possession of that money. Nevertheless, neither of those managers went to the SAPS and laid a complaint. Instead, Mr. Roeder was summoned to the president's room while he was abroad in Africa. And then secondly, upon return, there was a meeting held at the president's private residence in Hyde Park to discuss what was going to be done clearly to get this money back.
Okay, so you say it's clear, and I really just want to engage with the wording of the report, because on the abuse of power, the acting public protector says Mr. Steenhuisen did not furnish any evidence to support this contention, essentially that the protection service was going out of its way to help the president at his behest. No evidence could be found that the president was even aware of the investigation by General Wally Roeder. So, and she's saying, you know, we can't presume what the president thought. Did you provide any clear evidence?
I didn't need to provide it, Francis. If you look at the original affidavits from Mr. Roeder himself, he indicates in his own affidavit that the president summoned him while they were in Africa to report this to him and indicate what had happened. And that's what triggered Mr. Roeder's involvement in the matter. Mr. Roeder didn't wake up one morning and think, let me check on the president's private home and whether money's been stolen under his couch. He was informed by the president while they were in Africa.
That is clear that it was reported to him, but what she's talking about is the investigation. You're saying that this investigation, which was essentially rogue, according to the acting public protector, was condoned and authorized by the president. Did you provide any evidence?
Well, of course he must have been, because Mr. Roeder wouldn't have embarked upon this unless he had the full authorization of the president, who had called him in to say, look, this money's been stolen from our property. Can you get onto this and find out what has happened? Mr. Roeder then took it upon himself, and acting under the agency of the president, and conducted this investigation. Why did the president never ask for a case number? Why did he never ask for any of to understand who the investigating officer in the case was? If I had that amount of dollars stolen from me, I would be very interested to know what the progress is in the case. And I would certainly want a case number, and I would want to be able to find out from the investigating officer what efforts were being made. So I find it completely improbable that the president was not receiving regular updates from Mr. Roeder around what was being done to recover this money. It is a leap of logic to assume that the president is an innocent bystander in all of this.
And something I've often wondered, not to take it to a ridiculous extreme, but if you are president, right, presumably you'll accept that drivers will drive you around. You can do that yourself. You have secretaries. You could write the emails yourself. He's surrounded by protection personnel. General Rueda was there, so you say that wasn't good enough that he went to them. What would you do as president? Would you go to your nearest police station? What did you expect him to do as president?
I would do what any South African citizen, and remember,
would you stand in line at the police station?
We were all equal before the law. The equality of law is one of the foundational values and principles of any democracy. There's no special treatment for anybody.
Yeah, but he does get special treatment. He gets a whole protection service. We don't get that.
If there's a crime that's been committed, we have an obligation to report it at the local police station, to be assigned a case number and done it. You use the example of vehicles, and I think it's a very good one. Can you imagine if I was a government official and I was allocated, because I was a government official, a nice vehicle, but during the day I was using that vehicle to go and do deliveries for my private business, to fetch and carry equipment for my private business enterprise? That would be an abuse of a facility that is provided to me as an office bearer for my private business purposes. There's no difference here. A publicly funded presidential protection unit has been used to go and recover monies stolen not from the state, not from the presidency, not from the department of the presidency, not even from the ministry of the presidency, but stolen from a private business owned by the president.
All right.
There is clearly a conflict of interest and an abuse of power.
All right, DA Leader John Steenhuisen, thank you. The DA says it will take this matter further, the ATM as well.